Today we're going to learn about getting two different foods from one plant. And not only will you be able to get two different foods, which will add variety and extra nutrients, but you'll also learn how easy it is to be able to do this year after year, meaning that you'll get an endless supply of food that will help to keep you from starving after SHTF, right after the channel intro.
Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired! Ambulance en route.
Welcome to this channel. This channel is all about learning how to prepare for when the dark times come and the grocery stores are stripped bare. And this channel is all about prepping for those dark days while still retaining our integrity and our honor. And today we're going to learn how you can easily grow an heirloom plant that will not only produce edible food for you, but will also produce a spice for you, and also allow you to grow this food year after year without having to buy more seeds. Now here's the risks and the rewards to you for choosing to ignore this or to choose to have knowledge on this. After SHTF, your beans and rice that you've got stockpiled will soon grow very old. And some people in your family may even begin to hate the food and go into depression. So if you're one of those preppers who have been trying to figure out what spices and other condiments that you can stockpile because you have a real concern of going into food boredom after SHTF, then this video will be of great help to you. And then even if you do have a pretty decent variety of food put back that can be stored long term, there's still only so many different recipes that you can make with those items, because there's just not a whole bunch of different types of food that can be stored for 30 years like so many of us preppers like to stock back on. And even if you have a bunch of canned foods put back, eventually they're going to run out also. So the information on today's video is going to show you how you can produce just another food that will not only help to feed you after your stockpiled canned foods runs out, but will also give you variety and vital additional nutrients to your long-term storage foods. So today we're going to learn about growing heirloom cilantro, because this is a very tasty herb and also produces the second food on the plant, which is the spice called coriander. And also because this is heirloom, then you can save the seeds and replant more the following year. Now, if you dislike cilantro, I still invite you to keep watching, because this video may give you an idea of how you could do something else in its place. Now, the benefits of cilantro, besides adding flavor and antioxidants and anti-cancer effects to your food, is that its seed on the plant is actually the spice called coriander. So if you've ever used coriander in a little glass bottle that you bought from the grocery store, then what you actually bought was the seed from the cilantro plant. And I particularly enjoy the spice coriander because it has a little bit of a lemony flavor to it. So if after SHTF, if you are able to catch fish or get your hands on some chicken or anything else that you would like a little bit of a lemony flavor to it, then this is a great spice for you to know how to be able to produce yourself. But that's just some of the things that I love about the cilantro plant. The fact that you get both an herb and a spice in just one plant, plus you also get the flavor variety and nutrients and everything like that, again, in just one plant. Okay, so let's just jump right into showing you step by step how you can easily grow this. Now the first thing is you're going to want to make sure that you get your hands on some heirloom cilantro seeds. And I've done many videos on this in the past, so I won't get too deep into it. But gardening with heirloom seeds allows you to save the seeds year after year and keep reproducing your garden without having to buy more seeds. Whereas if you use the typical hybrid seeds that you buy in the typical store, then your garden will probably not reproduce, meaning that you could starve to death after SHTF. Now below will be a link to the heirloom cilantro seeds that I first started out with if you want to check them out. But the first thing that you want to make sure is that you have decent soil to plant them in. And you can see in this video, I grow my cilantro mostly in different growing containers. And you can also see that I have this container divided into 3 sections by string. And the reason I do that is because I will plant the seeds in each section a couple of weeks apart from each other. Meaning that I will plant the first section first, and then I'll plant seeds into the next section a few weeks later, and then I'll plant seeds into the last section a few weeks after that. This just helps to have the plants coming to maturity over a time period. It just helps us to have a continuous supply of cilantro throughout the growing season. But I just simply drop a seed on top of the soil, and then I just kind of push that seed to just below the soil surface, and then I just push a small amount of soil on top of the seed. And I also just plant the seeds just about 2 or 3 inches apart. Very, very simple. And then after a few weeks, you'll start to see some of the seedlings begin to pop up. And it's kind of cool to see the seed pod to many times still be connected to it as it does pop up. And really fast, let's take the anonymous community poll that should be appearing in the top right part of the screen about now, and let's see where the prepping community stands at on the topic of what is the average prepper's biggest fear for after SHTF. Does martial law most concern you, or marauders and gangs, or disease or starvation? Please take the poll and let's see where we as a community stand on this topic. So after you've seen your seeds start to pop up out of the ground, it only takes a couple of weeks or a month before you can start harvesting the leaves for your food. And for me, once I start seeing full leaves on the cilantro plant, I will start harvesting it for use in our dinners at home. And you'd be surprised on how many different foods cilantro really tastes great in. And you can either cut the stalks down like I'm doing in this video, or you can just pinch off a handful of leaves, whichever works best for you. But I just have to say this, nothing beats being able to walk out of your back door and grab a few handfuls of fresh herbs to use on your dinner each night when you cook. Now I'll pick more leaves and leave the stalks in place more so than cutting the stalks. And that's because I want many of my plants to grow to maturity. And that's because as they grow to maturity, they will begin flowering, and they'll also start growing the seeds, which will become coriander once they dry out. So once your cilantro plants have grown to maturity over the growing season, and once you've pretty much plucked all the flavorful leaves off of them, and after the flowers have died off, you want to allow the plants to turn dry and brittle before you start harvesting the seeds from the plants. And then I just store the harvested seeds into paper envelopes for replanting more cilantro next year. Or some of them I may end up putting into a grinder to use as coriander. And as I've said many times before, this is one of the things that I love about growing from Heirloom Seeds. You can see that this one plant that was started from just one little seed now has hundreds of seeds ready to be harvested. Which means that just one plant from just one little seed has produced hundreds of new seeds that can make hundreds of new plants. So you can see that the couple of dozen plants that I planted will end up producing thousands of seeds and potentially thousands of new plants. And like I say in most of my videos that deal with food after SHTF, this topic is just to provide just another way to feed yourself after the grid goes down. A serious prepper should always strive to layer his or her food options for when the grocery stores go bare. Your garden food and your canned food and your long-term storage foods should all supplement and complement each other to help extend each other and to add extra nutrients and to eventually take over when one of them runs out. So now I want to hear from you because not everybody likes cilantro. Please share with the rest of the community what kinds of things that you like to grow that also produces two different things. For instance, like growing pumpkins, where the seeds can also be used for roasted pumpkin seeds. And I will be learning myself from all of the ideas that you good people will be leaving down in the comment section. Like Prepper Potpourri always says in her videos, let's spread the knowledge and learn from each other. And history has shown that after SHTF, that people will strip every piece of wood in every book, basically anything that can be burned for heat and cooking. So after SHTF, you may not have wood that you can cook with, or you may need to conserve your firewood for your own warmth. So to learn how important a solar oven is for preppers and how you want to make this just another option for cooking after SHTF, then click on the video link that should be appearing in the upper right hand corner of the screen just about now to learn more about that. And after SHTF, those little packs of yeast will disappear off of the store shelf. And store-bought yeast doesn't have a very long shelf life to allow you to stockpile it either. So to learn how to cultivate your own wild yeast so that you can make bread after SHTF, then click on the video that should be appearing on the right side of the screen just about now. Anyways folks, if you made it this far, hey, thank you very much for watching, and I pray that you have a good night.